It will ask
Good morning. Welcome to News for Hearing Impaired. I am Anil Thomas and let's begin with the headlines. Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad says the ban on Chinese apps is an opportunity to come up with apps made by Indians. He was speaking on the completion of 5 years of Digital India program. Road Transport and Highway Minister Nitin Gadkari says India will not allow Chinese companies to participate in highway projects, including joint ventures. Also says this is a step towards making India self-reliant. India and China emphasize the need for an expeditious, phased and stepwise de-escalation as a priority. Senior military commanders from the Indian Army and the Chinese PLA hold a meeting earlier as well. Home Ministry says 9 individuals related to Khalistan movement as terrorists under provisions of the UAPA Act. This comes after the act was amended in 2019 to include a provision of designating an individual as a terrorist. The flood situation continues to be grim in Assam. Death toll climbs to 33 in the state. 14,95,000 people affected in 21 districts. 87,000 hectares of crop area has been affected. Relief and rescue operations are on in full swing. Government removes impediments in COVID-19 testing. States and union territories advised to make efforts in campaign mode to collect samples of all symptomatic individuals as well as their contacts and get samples tested by using rapid antigen tests. Recovery rate approaches 60%. Nearly 1,30,000 more recovered cases than the active cases. Over 3,47,000 people discharged, 17,400 succumbed to the virus. Global cases crossed the 1 crore 6 lakh mark. And Hong Kong police arrest people for violating the law on safeguarding national security in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. India reacts for the first time on Hong Kong situation, highlights developments at UNHRC. And now for the stories in detail. Speaking on the completion of 5 years of Digital India via digital conference or video conference, Union Minister for Communications, Electronics and IT, Ravi Shankar Prasad, said that the ban on 59 Chinese apps is a great opportunity for Indians to come up with good apps. The minister said the ban allows or gives an opportunity for the Indians to come up with apps themselves, and with this we can stop our dependence on foreign apps.
In the wake of the ban which we have imposed, I don't want to go into the details of it. An emergency power has been exercised and the legal process is being followed. But I think it's a great opportunity. Can we come with good apps made by Indians? Atmanirbhar Bharat. Let the dependence on these foreign apps with their own agenda for a variety of reasons must stop. Let us take this as an opportunity that India will become a big center of made in India apps.
Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari said India will not allow Chinese companies to participate in highway projects, including joint ventures. While speaking to a news agency, he said that government will not permit joint ventures with Chinese partners to construct roads. The minister said government will ensure that Chinese investors are not entertained in the micro, small and medium enterprises sector. India and China have been talking through established military and diplomatic channels to address the situation along the LAC. Commanders from the Indian Army and the Chinese PLA held a meeting at Chushul on the Indian side for another round of talks on the 30th of June. It was the third senior military commander level engagement to discuss about issues related to disengagement at the face-off sites along the LOC and de-escalation from the border areas. Sources say both sides have stressed on the need for an expeditious, phased and stepwise de-escalation as a priority. This is in keeping with the agreement between Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and his Chinese counterpart during their conversation on 17th of June that the overall situation would be handled in a responsible manner and that both sides would implement the disengagement understanding of June 6th sincerely. The June 30th meeting was held in a business-like manner, keeping in view the COVID-19 protocols. The sources say more meetings are expected at the military and diplomatic levels to arrive at mutually agreeable solution. Reinforcing commitment to strengthening national security and the Modi government's policy of zero tolerance to terrorism, Union Home Ministry under the leadership of Home Minister Amit Shah on Wednesday declared 9 individuals as designated terrorists under the provisions of the UAPA Act. These individuals are involved in various acts of terrorism from across the border and from foreign soil. The 9 individuals who have been named are Wadwa Singh Babbar of Pakistan-based Chief of Terrorist Organization Babbar Khalsa International, Lakhbir Singh of Pakistan-based Chief of Terrorist Organization International Sikh Youth Federation, Ranjit Singh, Pakistan-based Chief of Terrorist Organization Khalistan Zindabad Force, Paramjit Singh, Pakistan-based Chief of Terrorist Organization Khalistan Commando Force, Bhupinder Singh Bhinda, Germany-based key member of terrorist organization Khalistan Zindabad Force, Gurmeet Singh Bagga, also Germany-based key member of the terrorist organization Khalistan Zindabad Force, Gurpawan Singh Pannan, USA-based key member of the Unlawful Association Sikh for Justice, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, Canada-based Chief of Khalistan Tiger Force, Paramjit Singh, United Kingdom-based Chief of Terrorist Organization Babbar Khalsa International. Moving on, collective and focused efforts for containment and management of COVID-19 by the government along with the state and union territories have led to the recovery rate among COVID-19 patients fast approaching the 60% mark. According to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the figure of active cases stand at 2,20,114, while 3,47,978 patients have been cured or discharged from hospital, with 17,400 deaths due to the virus. The recovery rate, which continues to improve, stands exactly at 59.43%. With the aim to remove all impediments in testing, the Health Secretary Preeti Sudan and DG ICMR Dr. Balram Bhargav on Wednesday urged the state and union territories to take immediate steps to help ramp up testing. They have reiterated that test, track, treat is the key strategy for early detection and containment of the pandemic. States and union territories have been advised to help testing at the earliest by enabling all qualified medical practitioners, including private practitioners, to prescribe COVID test to any individual fulfilling the criteria for testing as per the ICMR guidelines. In order to facilitate testing, states and union territories have also been advised to make efforts in campaign mode by setting up camps using mobile vans in high incidence areas to collect samples of all symptomatic individuals as well as their contacts, and to get those samples tested by using rapid antigen tests. Well, moving to the flood situation in Assam, that remains grim with 21 districts still affected by flood waters. The Brahmaputra and its tributaries are flowing above the danger level mark at different places. According to a report by the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, that ASDMA, on Wednesday evening, over 14,95,000 people are affected in 21 districts due to these floods. The worst affected district by the deluge is Barapeta, followed by South Salmara. With 6 more deaths being reported on Wednesday, the death toll in this particular season due to floods has reached 33. Relief and rescue operations are going on in full swing. 4,221 persons have been evacuated by the NDRF and the SDRF personnel and moved to safer locations. 15,289 persons are taking shelter in 254 relief camps and centers set up. Staying with the weather, the Indian Meteorological Department has said that the western end of the monsoon trough at mean sea level is near its normal position and eastern end is north of its normal position and extends up to 1.5 kilometer above mean sea level. A cyclonic circulation lies over North Chhattisgarh and neighborhood between 3.1 kilometers and 4.5 kilometers above the mean sea level. It has predicted fairly widespread to widespread rainfall activity with isolated heavy showers to continue over East Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Sikkim and northeastern states during the next 5 days. It said that the central and adjoining East India areas are likely to experience rainfall over the next 3 days and increase in intensity and distribution thereafter. Isolated heavy rainfall over Madhya Pradesh during the next 3 days and Chhattisgarh during the next 5 days. Bihar, Vidarbha, parts of Odisha to experience heavy rainfall during the next 4 days. Widespread rainfall activity is very likely to continue along the west coast during the next 5 days. Isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall is also very likely over Konkan and Goa during the next 5 days. Central Karnataka is also likely to experience isolated to very heavy rainfall over the next 3 days. Southern state of Kerala to experience isolated heavy rainfall to very heavy rainfall during the next 5 days. Subdued rainfall activity over the western Himalayan region and adjoining northwest India are very likely to continue during the next 3 days. Ministry of Railways has invited requests for qualifications for private participation for operation of passenger train services over 109 origin destinations or OD pairs of routes through introduction of 151 modern trains. The 109 OD pairs have been formed into 12 clusters across the Indian railway network. Each train shall have a minimum of 16 coaches. The project would entail private sector investment of about 30,000 crore rupees. This is the first initiative of private investment for running passenger trains over the Indian Railways network. This initiative will boost job creation, reduce the transit time, provide enhanced safety and world-class facilities to passengers. Majority of trains to be manufactured in India under the Make in India initiative. The private entity shall be responsible for financing, procuring, operation and maintenance of the trains. The trains shall be designed for a maximum speed of 160 kilometers per hour. There would be a substantial reduction in journey time. The running time taken by a train shall be comparable to or faster than the fastest train of Indian Railways operating in the respective route. Moving to some international stories, Hong Kong police arrested anti-government demonstrators assembled on the streets on Wednesday, breaking up the first protest since China introduced sweeping security legislation that allows punishment for calling for secession or subversion. By late afternoon, Hong Kong police said they have made arrests for illegal assembly, obstruction and possession of weapons, including 2 arrests for violating the new law. The arrests and protests coincided with the 23rd anniversary of Hong Kong's official handover to China in 1997. Given the large Indian community presence in Hong Kong, India has been keeping a close watch on the recent developments. India reacted on the development in Hong Kong, saying, "We have heard several statements express concern over these developments. We hope the concerned parties will take into account these views and address them properly, seriously and objectively." On the situation in Hong Kong, India has said that it has taken note of the several statements expressing concerns on these developments. India's envoy to the UN bodies in Geneva, Rajiv K. Chandar, said that given the large Indian community that make Hong Kong its name, India has been keeping a close watch on the recent developments.
Given the large Indian community that makes the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of China its home, India has been keeping a close watch on recent developments. We have heard several statements expressing concern on these developments. We hope the relevant parties will take into account these views and address them properly, seriously and objectively.
At the global level, the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 have crossed the 1 crore 6 lakh mark with over 5 lakh 14,000 fatalities. According to the latest data compiled by the Johns Hopkins University, 1 crore 6 lakh 44,064 cases of COVID-19 have been reported across the world. The United States continues to remain the worst hit with 26 lakh 78,000 cases and 1 lakh 27,527 deaths, followed by Brazil and Russia. Brazil reported over 14 lakh 48,000 cases and over 60,000 deaths, while over 6 lakh 53,000 cases have been reported in Russia with 9,521 fatalities. United States recorded a 7th consecutive day of record new cases of coronavirus infections. Hospitalizations and deaths from COVID-19 have been soaring in the most populous U.S. state starting around the weekend. 1,199 COVID fatalities have been reported across the United States in the last 24 hours. Due to increased death tolls and the case numbers, many U.S. states, particularly in the South and West, have had to pause their reopening processes. In California, indoor activities will be banned in most places for at least 3 weeks. All bars and brew pubs, whether indoor or outdoor, will also close in 19 counties where 70% of the population live. Over the past 24 hours, 110 people have died in California, while Florida, Texas and other states are also seeing a surge in cases and hospitalizations from COVID-19. Meanwhile, New York has also announced that the city would postpone indoor dining in the city's restaurants, considering the uptick in other parts of the country. The city was slated to enter phase 3 of its reopening plan on July 6th. Amidst the upsurge, the drive-thrus coronavirus test sites is becoming a hotspot with people queuing up in large numbers. Testing sites seeks to ramp up testing, reduce the pressure on emergency rooms while keeping patients in their cars to avoid spreading the infection. The World Health Organization, thus WHO, has strictly warned that the nations who fail to use every mechanism available to combat the still raging novel coronavirus will struggle to beat it. Amidst the worsening condition, the WHO has planned to send 2 experts from headquarters to join its country team in China to establish the scope for a mission looking into the origins of COVID-19. Heavily criticized by the United States and others for secrecy and a late response, China has said it was transparent throughout and would support an investigation once the pandemic is under control. Moving to South America, in Argentina, local businesses are facing extinctional threats as their quarantine in and around Buenos Aires has been extended. Business owners decried the extension and tightening of the lockdown in and around Buenos Aires from July 1st until 17th, following a sharp recent rise in cases of COVID-19. Argentina's government faces a tough balancing act between combating a recent spike in COVID-19 cases and reopening the economy. It has extended a quarantine in and around Buenos Aires, but relaxed rules in other parts of the country. Already mired in recession for 2 years and in default on foreign debts, Argentina is headed for an annual economic contraction in 2020 that organizations, including the International Monetary Fund, have estimated to be about 10%. In other updates, Israel's parliament voted to allow the country's domestic intelligence agencies to track the cell phones of COVID-19 carriers for the next 3 weeks amid a resurgence in new cases. The Shin Bet surveillance technology has been used on and off to track carriers since March, when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet circumvented Parliament and approached the program through emergency regulations as new cases first spiked. The law, which expires on July 22nd, includes oversight mechanism that require the Shin Bet to report weekly on its monitoring to Parliament's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee. Israel has reimposed some restrictions after seeing a surge in new cases since rolling back curbs enacted under a near-complete lockdown in March and April. The ongoing coronavirus pandemic has reduced many people to poverty in Chile. The country's unemployment rate has hit 11.2% between March and May, laying bare the devastating impact of COVID-19 lockdown measures on the South American nation's economy. The pandemic has exploded in Chile since May, with cases soaring to over 282,000 and the death toll at 5,753. All of Santiago, the country's capital and economic engine, is now under lockdown. The country was hit by widespread protests over inequality late in 2019, leading to billions in losses and damages to businesses. What was left has now been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, with experts predicting double-digit unemployment and a drop in GDP. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and 2 specially able Bolivians used their wits to find a new way to make a living, even as income dried up for countless Bolivians through the COVID-19 pandemic. Ren and Eddie retrofitted motorcycles so that they could mount and drive them while in their wheelchairs. For more than 2 weeks, the duo have been working fully self-employed, offering their delivery service via Facebook to local stores and their neighbors. Bolivia reported 32,125 confirmed cases of COVID-19, while 1,071 people have died so far. World over, there is a growing discontent over the use of Chinese telecom infrastructure and apps. India's action of banning 59 apps and discouraging the use of China-made hardware in Indian telecom sector is finding appreciation globally. U.S. Foreign Minister Mike Pompeo says India's clean app approach will boost India's sovereignty, integrity and national security.
We welcome India's ban on certain mobile apps that can serve as an appendages of the CCP's surveillance state. India's clean app approach will boost India's sovereignty. It will also boost India's integrity and national security, as the Indian government itself has stated.
Amid support across the United States to dismantle symbols of slavery and racism, the Mississippi flag bearing the Confederate flag emblem came down. On the same day, a statue of Confederate General Stonewall Jackson was removed in Richmond in Virginia. The removal of the flag follows the death of African-American man George Floyd, who was killed in police custody in Minnesota. His death has sparked a nationwide protest against racial injustice and police brutality. It revived demands for the removal of statues of Confederate leaders Christopher Columbus and others who were considered symbols of racism and colonial oppression. Meanwhile, a commission in Mississippi will design a new state flag. The directors of U.S. intelligence agencies will brief the Gang of Eight, which consists of congressional leaders and chairs of the intelligence committees. The brief will focus on the reports over Russian paid bounties in Taliban to kill U.S. troops. Meanwhile, 4 U.S. and 4 European government sources said that in recent weeks, the U.S. has acquired fresh reporting backing up the allegations that Russia had encouraged Taliban-affiliated terrorists to kill U.S. and allied soldiers in Afghanistan. However, White House National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said that the U.S. will respond strongly if it is confirmed that Russia paid militants to kill U.S. soldiers and allied soldiers in Afghanistan. Well, moving to sports, India's Shashank Manohar stepped down as the International Cricket Council chairman on Wednesday, 1 week before the election process for his successor is announced. Deputy Chairman Imran Khwaja, formerly of the Singapore Cricket Association, will be the interim chief. The new chairman is likely to be a candidate backed by the Indian board or even from the richest National Cricket Board, BCCI. Manohar, a former BCCI president, had announced in December he won't seek a third 2-year term. Manohar was appointed the first independent ICC chairman in May 2016, a reform he had championed in the global body. With Manohar ending his stint, Colin Graves, who has already announced that his tenure as ECB chairman, is among the frontrunners for the seat. Chris Nenzani, the CSA president, is also in the fray. As per the ICC constitution, one of the current directors in the board or a former director qualifies to contest for the position of the chairman if proposed by any of the member nations. Well, that's all we have time for. This is Manisha and me signing off. Thanks for watching.